Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Finance and General Purposes meeting, Monday, 22nd of January 2024. Just to remind members that this meeting is being recorded for publication on the Thatcham Town Council YouTube channel. Madam Clerk, any apologies for absence? No. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. I have one. The item 7.2, Kennett Amateur Theatrical Society. I am, for my sins, directing the production of Fiddler on the Roof, and I'm therefore very closely involved with that production. I will therefore be seeking to hand over to the Vice Chair. Councillor McCann would be so kind as to take the chair at that point. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, and then to enable you to talk about me while my back is turned, I will actually intend to leave the chamber while you discuss the matter and decide or not. Minutes of the meeting of 30th of October. First of all, are there any questions on those? Any suggested amendments? If not, I'll propose from the chair that we accept those as accurate. If that finds a seconder. Nice. Avoid, thank you. Those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. And Town Clerk, any feedback on matters arising from those minutes?
Nothing from me, Chairman.
Okay, anything from members? That's requesting feedback. No, thank you. The water pipe spur repair, Madam Clerk, might you be able to give us A, some background, and B, the correspondence which we literally just had?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, literally shortly before this evening's meeting, so it is just tucked inside your agenda packs. Members may recall when considering approving the expenditure on the pipe work repair that supplies the water to the council offices and the cricket club. Some questions arose from that discussion. I have the responses from the Memorial Foundation, particularly 1, 2 and 4, and also the paragraph below. So this is the sheet that's in your
thank you, Chair. Just I don't know if it's a point of order or a general observation, but the combined pack that was sent out by email, I'm looking at it on my screen now. That letter doesn't appear to be there, but it is in the hard copy pack that I know some members have got on the desk. So I'm assuming nobody's had an opportunity to read that before the meeting tonight.
It literally came in at 4:15 this afternoon.
I'm with you. Okay.
So I think it's appropriate to give members about a couple of 3 minutes just to read that. Did I see Councillor Cottingham coming?
Yes,
in and out?
and he said it's such a great.
He, I know, will have views on this, so I will wait for him to come in, which gives the opportunity for people to read the email from the chair of the Foundation. I am still actually waiting for Councillor Cotton to come back in because he will have
Yeah, no, absolutely.
some views on this one. So please, actually, I might, while I'm waiting for him, can I, with the forbearance of the committee, jump to 7.7.1, which is the community project fund request from Newbury Thatcham Repair Cafe. If we can discuss that one, and then that'll give Councillor Cottingham the chance to catch up on the reply from the Memorial Foundation, which we have had, which we've literally just had, which has slipped into your pack. And I know that several of those items you were particularly keen on or had a particular interest in. So I will give you the opportunity, if I may, to catch up on that. You may well need a copy of that because it's only on hard copy. It literally came in today. So if we can move to item 7.1, please, which is the request from Newbury and Thatcham Repair Cafe. Madam Clerk, have we got anything to?
Chairman, Councillor Jeff.
Sorry,
I do apologise.
no, if you've got comments from the clerk, that would be
Just if there are any, and then by all means.
For the application on now, yes, okay. So Newbury and Thatcham Repair Cafe are a new startup. There was a West Berkshire repair cafe, sadly closed due to the effects of COVID. So they are looking to re-establish, and they will have the repair cafe once a month, and it will alternate between Newbury and Thatcham. So they hope to launch in Newbury in March and in Thatcham in April. And they will be located at the Frank Hutchins Community Hall. So at the moment, they are seeking funds to get themselves up and running, and they have an application on the Good Exchange. So if council is minded to award a grant and we processed it via the Good Exchange, it would receive match funding. So the details of the application are in your packs for the specifics that they have provided a breakdown of their initial costs for the calendar year 2024, which they calculate to £1,636. They hope that the repairs will be carried out by volunteers, and hopefully over the course of time will donate to have their items repaired, and therefore it will become self-funding. And the aim is to stop items going to landfill.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councillor Jeffrey, then Councillor Pemberton.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's an excellent idea. I think the kind of start-up funding we're looking at is entirely reasonable to try to get something like this running. I would have thought that we are in the day and age where it is likely to be very, very popular indeed. I think it's an entirely legitimate a request to make. I'd be happy. I don't want to jump the committee, but I'd be very happy to propose that we £250.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Brown.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I had the privilege actually of meeting Hazel Russell because she came to the last Environmental Working Party meeting late last year, where she talked through in detail actually about the work of the cafe, and it really is impressive. The range of items that they're looking to fix and the number of volunteers that they've got already on their books and ready to go is definitely something that we should be supporting, that I feel. I wasn't entirely clear on the amount of money that they were asking for. I think Councillor Jeffrey may have preempted that, but it's subject to clarification. I think this is one we should definitely support, and obviously subject to abuse.
Okay, thank you. I'll take Councillor Jeffrey's proposal in a moment, if I may, because the Mayor wanted to speak.
Oh, Thank you, Chair. Just, yeah, to support the application as well. I think it's their aims are well in line with our own sustainable aspirations. And I too had the opportunity to talk to them last weekend, the weekend before at the volunteer recruitment fair, and was very impressed with the work they're doing. I've been told the first one in Thatcham is March the 24th, and that's one I've been invited along to, and I think I would certainly support that.
Excellent. We have three very strong recommendations on that one. Unless I see anybody who's wishing to speak to the contrary, I'll take Councillor Jeffrey's proposal, sir. Which was for £250, which will double up to £500 under our arrangement with the Good Exchange, seconded by Councillor Pemberton. Could I ask for a show of hands for those in favour, please? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now go back to item 4. And kind of looking in Councillor Pemberton's, Councillor Cottingham's direction as to views on the response.
Thank you, Chair. Well, it's good that they're looking into having an insurance policy. However, it does give an impression that they're not fully covered at the moment, which is not, from my perspective, from our perspective, a great state of affairs. Very inconclusive about what caused the leak in the first place. My suspicion, no doubt, that there was a significant amount of heavy traffic with the circus and also with the other large volume of traffic, the traffic going through that area. So it's really inconclusive until we really know what really caused that spur to break and cause the water leak. Wholly satisfactory that we've received full details.
Two choices, I suppose. We either accept that there isn't the information to hand at the moment and bring this to a conclusion, or have we actually paid the payment of plant?
We have.
Right, so we're in a slight fait accompli.
Yeah.
But there is obviously some other discussion then as to what we do to prevent such things in the future, which we have already discussed. Accepting that it is not satisfactory, the money has been paid, and they're either.
I think there was an action outstanding to look at the actual flow of the water, wasn't there? Was there going to be an access? The diagrams of what pipe belongs to whom, because again, it's sort of inconclusive of who actually owns the pipe and the actual flow of that water coming this way and whether it spurs off again further.
Chairman, that's the item number 3, which Kent and Nathan are just finalising.
Okay.
That map.
Thank you.
Right, Mark. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I've got Councillor Jeffrey, I believe, and then Councillor Cotton.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I was actually going to say, let's pay it. Or if we've already paid it, then that's a redundant proposal. I think that what we can absolutely do is instruct the clerk to write a firm letter. It wouldn't be rude, but a firm letter that the Memorial Foundation has got to get its act together on the whole issue of the water supply. Maybe that's a letter, the words of which could be crafted, perhaps without you being present when they're crafted, Mr. Chairman. But
I might just come on to future steps and bring the clerk in when we get to that. But Councillor Cotton?
Yes, there are instruments that you can actually put in a probe into the water flow and actually hear the noise of leaks or water flows and maybe sense where the pipe is and what it's doing. At the moment, we just got, oh, there's some pipes there. Maybe we should ask for, if it's not too expensive, an investigation as to how those pipes are laid out and whether there are any suspected problems with them in the future, because it's good to catch these things early rather than late. I mean, if you've got a root growing in to a pipe, I mean, if you catch it, and it will be seen by these, it's an ultrasonic system, it will be detected, and if there's a disruption to the water flow, it will indicate, and in fact, how far it is away and to what extent it is. So I'd be happy to talk to the clerk about any instrumentation that might be suggest that we, at the clerk's discretion, investigate further the piping.
Thank you, that'd be useful.
Well,
Very useful. The question of the map of what is underground, I think is covered in point 3 of the letter there. Sorry, I'll take Councillor McCann, then I will take the clerk.
Yeah.
See.
Absolutely. It's not unreasonable for us to know where our services are coming in, and that the officers know that they know, if you see what I'm saying. And we did raise it at the last meeting when this was discussed, bearing in mind the amount of traffic and heavy traffic is going to be running backwards and forwards for the next year. It would be no bad idea if services are coming in and going out, including sewage and power plants. All this, if you see what I'm trying to indicate, before it becomes an issue.
Chairman, point of information, there are records kept back at West Berkshire. They're not comprehensive, but it might be worth asking.
Absolutely.
If they have something. I can't remember the name of the system, it's a specialised software system.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I will take one more. Have you
Yeah.
done one more?
I'm just following up on Councillor McCann's point over the sort of deviation traffic, which no doubt will be running over potentially our pipe work. And again, it's making sure that we are protected. We don't want to have a situation whereby first we know about it, there's a huge leak and we end up having to pay.
Digging up the road, going up to the thing.
It's making sure that Ardent are fully aware of where the pipes are and they then put in the appropriate protection in place.
Thank you for that. I just realised actually I should have declared an interest of the council representative on the Memorial Foundation.
I think you're allowed.
I think I actually handed the chair last time, but it was more a question of a payment last time, which would have had pecuniary interest as a trustee and therefore liable for the cash. Now, Madam Clerk, to catch up. Madam Clerk, where do we go in terms of agreement and also question of easement, and are they something we can include in the same document? Advice, please.
I think we are at the point where we do need a formal agreement between the organisations, and I believe the easement can be included in the same agreement as the repairs and recharges. I will seek advice from our solicitor if instructed to do so. But I'm fairly certain easements are in other agreements that we have with other organisations.
I think the need for something formal is acknowledged by us and indeed by the foundation as well. The question of the easement over the land, I think that is entirely reasonable. We have easements that or way leaves that we get paid for, and easements of pipes effectively belonging to other people are sensible. I'm minded to suggest we ask the clerk to talk to our solicitors with a view to some form of legal agreement between us and the foundation and easement. If views, please.
So proposing
A lot of nods.
seconded.
Whatever
it is.
I propose,
I'll second it.
Cottingham has seconded. Those in favour, please. Thank you, Madam Clerk, if you would be so kind to take that one forward.
Yeah, well, indeed.
Right, current year budget review. I would suggest that we go with. Oh, have we got both? Both sets of documentation in the pack, Madam Clerk. In other words, the one that has the percentage. Spend.
Yeah, I'll do the minutes of the last meeting.
Ah, there we
There we
are.
are.
Sorry. I'm skipping around. I would suggest we use this document because it is the one that gives us percentage spends. Obviously, at year 9 we should be at 75%, so it's fairly easy to see. So I'm referring to the one that's in rather than in full scap. What I will do, I will go through each section. I will ask the clerk to comment on anything that she's picked up that may be relevant and of interest to members, and then obviously give members the chance to ask any questions on anything that may be afterwards. First of all, staffing, Madam Clerk, I will probably make one comment here, which is because I looked at this and looked at 57.6% of spend so far and thought, oh, that's excellent. That can't be right. And indeed, it's not, because that just refers to the salaries and not the add-ons line. I think, Madam Clerk and Finance Officer, there's a calculation that you've done as to what the end of year position is likely to be on overall staffing.
We have, and that is included in the projected report, which I have, but members. So the projected year-end figure for salaries and on costs is 390,000.
Okay, so we are about on spend there.
So we'd like to congratulate the accuracy of the budget on the basis that as of 3/4 of the year through, we're actually at 75.8% of the budget spent. So the budget process was very accurate.
I would love to say that that was brilliance on the part of everyone, and indeed I will say it's brilliance on the part of everyone. However, there is one caveat that we have not had a services manager for the majority of the year. So whilst the actual budget is there and whilst we are going to come in within £3,000 on the projected figure, actually, to be fair, we haven't had the services manager. We have had one additional post, which is the services officer. And indeed, for part of the year, another role, and 2 of the existing clerical officers stepped up to cover a lot of the services managers' role. So we obviously had some additional costs there. But I'll take the congratulations. Thank you, Councillor Coughlin. Corporate management section, precept and interest received. Obviously, interest received being higher, as we've discussed previously. Anything else, Madam Clerk, on that one? Precept is precept. Democratic and management.
Couple of things to highlight.
Mayoral.
4034 public relations, currently standing at 109%. That includes a contribution towards production of the town guide, which is almost ready to go into production. So we'll be seeing that around the town shortly. And 4211 civic regalia, 492%. That includes the long service award badges that were purchased at the beginning of the financial year.
Thank you. Any other questions from members on that section? No, we'll move on to grants. I'll just say on the community grant scheme, the full 17,000 or now 16,750 with the 250 that we've given under the Good Exchange banner to the Repair Cafe. We do have a series of grants meetings the year coming up next month.
February, yes.
So we deferred that in the absence of the deputy town clerk who used to deal with those matters. So that will be coming up. Anything else, Madam Clerk, on that grants? The Community Projects Fund is one that has a transfer to counterbalance because the community fund, which is the 250 ones, has a specific earmark reserve attached to it. Any other questions on the grants section? No, thank you. Detached youth work, Madam Clerk?
Members will be aware that the detached youth contract has expired. So they are accurate figures there. And the Youth Working Party is considering options going forward.
Thank you. So this was the contract which was not really being fulfilled very well. So the decision was taken to terminate. I would and I will actually be bringing forward a proposal to full council at the end of March that we actually via part of that, be it 5,000 or be it 10,000, over to the earmark reserve for youth. We have a youth working party under Councillor Schiffer Hart as chairman, who have coming up with a lot of ideas, and we can, I think, do a lot with for the youth of the town within the amount that we would then be able to put to the earmark reserve. Councillor Coffey.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I would totally support that reallocation of youth spend. Well aware of the fact that the lack of youth services in the area, and anything which we can do to find money to spend with the youth of today is to be applauded.
Okay, well, that will come to full council then with the sort of tacit board. I don't think I need to take a vote on that. That will be voted on at full council. A small one, street and footpath lighting.
Chairman?
Right. Any questions on that one? No. Street furniture, Madam Clerk?
Yes, a couple here. Service contracts 4037, and this is relevant throughout the budget report. The facilities manager has done a lot of work on gathering accurate service contract figures. The previous services manager, some items that were service contracts were actually being coded to as maintenance. So the facilities manager has now streamlined all of that and has got projected future figures under the service contracts. So they are all, majority of them are all reading as over budget in this report, I'm afraid, but that has now set us up in the right way for future budgets.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions on that section? Street furniture? No. Page 3, CCTV. I think we covered this last time, but okay.
Yes, we had a few issues with power outages, which is why the reactive maintenance is sitting at 134%, but hopefully they are now all rectified.
Thank you. Any questions from members on CCTV? No, thank you. Public conveniences, Madam Clerk.
Only again, it's service contracts in that one, Chairman.
Any Councillor Cosgrove?
Yeah, just obviously the current spend is significantly below the budget, I know you've got this, you haven't got the 6,000 salary allocation, but quite a few of the other lines are below. Any particular reason why? So you've got water well below, effectively electricity. Okay, we're now moving into sort of the colder period. But key holding and cleaning is almost half, isn't it? Any
I have an explanation about the key holding and cleaning. I'm afraid the supplier has not been doing their work effectively.
Okay.
And we have a fabulous services manager who is actually taking a look at the CCTV and seeing how long they're spending cleaning. And they're only spending about 50% of the time, and they're not doing a particularly good job. So he's been going back to them and asking for credit notes.
Right.
So it should cost us the budget, but we have a very fastidious services manager who's making sure we get what we pay for. And acquiring credit notes to refund us for the services we aren't.
And when does the contract come up on your?
So that one, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's to be commended, thank you.
Absolutely.
Just one question.
Yeah.
We did deep clean, didn't we? Would that have been in this budget as well? A separate budget?
Possibly been last financial
I think
year.
Oh, was that long ago? Oh my goodness, yeah, sorry, ignore me.
I feel
It was only that yesterday.
I feel your pain. Any other questions on public community? Thank you. Thatcham Market, Manager?
Yeah, the publicity for 032, 161%, that is due to the marketing of the Christmas market, which obviously wasn't budgeted for.
Any other comments on markets? No, thank you. Events, Thatcham Festival and Club.
Interesting, the events budgets, because the expenditure sometimes to get particular activities as part of the festival, they are then agreed to be ticketed events. So you'll notice that the income is considerably up.
Yes.
Income is up £3,236 on budget. And if you take out the salary allocation, the expenditure is up just 499. So I think with events, it's better to look at the overall picture, and actually expenditure is below budget in that.
Jimmy, if I may.
Yes, please, sorry.
I think that one of the things that lots of people comment on, members of the general public comment on, is just how smashing it is that we, they don't say smashing, do they? They say something much more. It's all in good. They say how good it is that we have these events and how much they line up Thatcham at different times of the year. I think that's something we can be genuinely very proud of, and the staff can be proud of the work they put in.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And there's the Christmas market was mentioned. That was taken on and run with very successfully by Dawn, who grabbed it and at very short notice. We did have one comment, as I think I've said before, from one stallholder who said they'd taken twice the amount of money that they took at the equivalent event in another town, not very far, yeah, that shan't be mentioned. So
That other place.
it's always very pleasing. Absolutely.
Go west like young man.
So I mean, with the overall events being under budget, any idea of total under budget, including increased income, Madam Clerk?
All of them collectively, no, I haven't totaled it up. I've totaled them up individually,
Right,
not
okay.
collectively, I'm afraid.
I think individually then, if we, I'll go through these allow Madam Clerk to give us an overall figure on each of them. And then if there's anything that anyone has on each individual section, then please shout, but we won't go through line by line, given as Madam Clerk said, there's some incomes up and some expenditures up as well. So Madam Clerk.
Okay, so then on to Christmas lights. Income is up 1,240 and expenditure below at 3,197. But there could potentially still be invoices to come on that, because obviously that was our most recent event. But at the moment, again, coming in under budget. Remembrance Day slightly over, and that's due to the traffic management. The road closure was came in at 4,485 as against 4,300 budgeted. So that's actually going to be slightly over budget.
Road closure, I have to say, has transformed the day. I still remember standing at the
Traffic noise.
memorial with lorries thundering past, and it was awful.
It was.
I personally think that in terms of just pure respect is money well
absolutely.
spent.
Yeah.
Sorry, Madam Clerk, I interrupted. Service of Remembrance.
United Service of Remembrance budgeted net of 1,300 actually came in at 746, so roughly half the budget.
Excellent. And our largest one of Fun Day.
Family Fun Day income was up 3,206 and expenditure down by 400. So again, the overall outcome was under budget.
Thank you. And Finance Officer wants to add something.
The total for all of the events.
Oh, well done.
So, income increased by £6,700 and savings were also made of £3,200, which gives us a total saving of £9,900 for events.
Wow.
Given some of the
Snooze.
some of the challenges that we had and the fact that we were projecting a £25,000 deficit at the beginning of the year, I'm incredibly grateful to the events team,
Yes, yeah.
guided by the finance officer and clerk, no doubt, for making the savings and increasing the income. Special event, Madam Clerk, will just take them individually now we've got there.
Okay, so this was the coronation and also some investment and return income on launching the drag bingo in partnership with Newbury Pride. So the 7,500 that's budgeted there, that was actually for the Freedom of the Town event that isn't taking place. So the expenditure for those two events at just over 3,500 will come out of that 7,500. Yes.
Thank you. That concludes the events.
Yes.
I believe it does. Right, the biggie, central services, Madam Clerk.
So over time, 4,084, it's been a challenging time staffing wise. So the overtime has gone a little over there at 112%, but that will be addressed with the new incoming staff structure.
In terms of the savings on permanent staff, that overtime is a minuscule figure compared to the savings on deputy town clerk and service manager's salary, or deputy town clerk for the last few months, and service manager's salary for virtually the entire year. Anything else, Madam Clerk?
Protective clothing, 4,006. We had a new member of the events team, and obviously they require quite a considerable amount of call it uniform, but PPE, that's the word, plus some existing needed replacings. But that's gone over a little. And recruitment 4,030. We had to run 2 campaigns to get the right events officer. And we absolutely got the right events officer. But the recruitment cost advertising did have to go up, I'm afraid, on that one. And professional fees over the page 4060, a number of projects, for want of a better word, included in that is our routine HR support contract plus additional support from them for a staffing matter. Solicitor fee for the workshop lease and the cost of the staff review. Management fees 4063. There was a new charge this year relating to the pensions. And actuarial fee.
Yes.
Which we haven't had before, hence why that one has gone over.
Chairman, can I ask?
Please.
Is are our pensions still with the Berkshire? So how have they managed to inveigle an additional management fee in, or is it not them that's done it? So is it the Royal Berkshire?
Yes, it's come, the charge has come from the pension provider, yes.
What's that for? As distinct from they're getting a lot of money and interest and so on from all the assets they have, minus the amounts they pay out to people who are. Is the man on my right can give me a more detailed answer?
I suspect so.
I think what it will be is that there will be a projected amount which they're working out individual statements to make sure that people's pensions are on track. So it will be a case of them doing a exercise with all people, as just doing a pro rata allocation of rather than, as you say, Thatcham Town Council's pension liability doesn't work like that. You're quite right to say we're part of a wider scheme, and it will just be a reallocation of a cost which they've done across all of the component. Yeah, the scheme, I would guess. But what I would say is, unfortunately, the Berkshire Pension LGA pension fund is not very well performing. It is one of the worst performing schemes.
It always used to be one of the best.
It's poorly performing, which means that the percentage which we're having to pay in is higher at West Berkshire Council, and no doubt probably higher is here as well. As an employer,
both coming into the same time.
Yes, yeah.
That probably accounts for why the pension contributions, where we always based it on a lower figure than 30%, have probably gone up 30%.
Yes,
That answers that question, which has been puzzling us for the last few weeks as we set the budget.
So it'll be like any actuarial working out what the liabilities, what's the fund on track to, and they'll need to be topped up to hit those liabilities, and hence the increased contribution from an employer.
So we're right to use the 30%.
Yes,
Going forward into next year.
Yes.
Councillor Goff.
I can confirm that I'm actually the West Berkshire representative, looking at the funds, and it is significantly down, and there's a lot to be made up with. Some questions I asked a couple of years ago and was refused to ever be told what the situation was under the previous administration. Now we get a full breakdown of all the costs. At least we know there's a problem. Before, I was just worrying that we didn't have a problem, that we had a problem, but we didn't know how big it was, and it is significant.
Okay, thank you for that. Birdwood Community Centre, Monclar, some more good news.
Yes, income at Birdwood is up. And gas, 4015, obviously uncertainty over energy costs generally. Service contracts we discussed. 4042 reactive maintenance, 330%. That includes the external drain work that was approved by R&A.
Chairman, that includes those works
Yes.
within the 2 grand. Am I thinking we've been quite lucky?
No, there's committed expenditure, unfortunately, to
4687.
that.
Oh, it's the 4687.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Nice try.
Yeah. But should have been an accountant with that creative thinking.
Over the page, licenses 4054, 168%. This is the music licenses. They are a law unto themselves. You can never predict what the cost is going to be.
Any question on Birdwood? No, move on to Frank Hutchins Small then, please.
Just service contracts. On Frank Hutchins to highlight.
Okay. Blue coat's just been received, that's. Maintenance, Mo's workshop.
Again, just the.
One there, then Moore's Pavilion pitches.
Vandalism 035, 298%. I believe I've reported this before. It was an insurance claim. The insurance money came in last financial year, but we weren't able to get the work carried out until this financial year.
Thank you.
And did the claim match up to the invoice we received?
All bar the excess.
Thank you. Priory, I'm presuming we've got another interest charge that either is due to come in or was in a previous year. Because it's on a fixed rate. So we will have, and the amount of capital and the amount of interest will vary, but
Yes, they don't charge us monthly or quarterly or anything like that. There's 3 different loans, and they both have different start dates, and the statements are received every 6 months. So there will be times when that's behind and times when it's ahead.
that's fine.
So
It's a timing difference then.
Yes.
Distance. Hennick Field, we've still got this rogue 9,999 in this figure that appears to relate to another year. So get the finance officer to bend her brain round how to get rid of that one and get it into the right place in a prior year adjustment, or indeed, I think there was some, you can have a look, Madam Clerk, as to whether that was actually a true item or whether it was
it's an accrual reversal. So we accrued the potential income.
Okay.
The accrual was reversed and the income never arrived. Now we have those funds there. We can transfer them to reserves, but if I move that £10,000 out of that account, then the AGAR doesn't work on the system. So we are stuck with it sitting there, but please bear in mind that it's just an accrual reversal.
so can we transfer, because we do have a Hennick reserve, earmark reserve,
Yes.
can we transfer that to the Hennick?
It's in there. It is in the reserve. But I cannot, what I wanted to do was move it from that account and put it to the account that says transfers to reserves. But if I do that, the system throws out the AGAR. I think it's a bug in the Realtor system, which means that you have to look at it.
Don't think computers
rather
have
than
bugs.
me-
Oh, it's just not, it's what you're talking about. No.
Except for the purposes of this management.
It's fine.
These are merely management figures, therefore we can treat that and discount that as ever being.
Yes, well done, thank you.
I have had so many conversations about.
So go back to quill pens, I would say. Obviously, the Hennick contribution will be when we when the accounts are finalised. Certainly talking to Councillor Brooks, I think it was on track to meet the lower budget figure, so that there may well be a little bumps in there as well.
So there'll be an invoice coming through and the charge will come through by year end, so 9,900 will offset whatever charge we receive from West Berkshire. That's what you're telling me.
That that £9,999 was from about 24 months ago.
Yeah. So you've released that, you've released that charge which you built in
Yes,
a couple of years ago as a charge to the P&L.
yes,
Hence you're showing a credit,
yes,
and that credit will offset any invoice which we then receive going forward.
yes, it will, but we have opened an earmark reserve for a similar amount so that we can put it towards, we can ring fence it to the same area.
Understood.
Another job to be done.
Glad that's clarified between the two accountants. If I'm really- Heritage Run Club?
Nothing on heritage.
Thatcham Cemetery, as I say, the line where I always hate to see us getting more income than we budget.
Income is up on cemetery. Waste disposal 4018, we had a skip hire that we shared with the allotments. Just why that one's slightly over.
Thank you. St Mary's Churchyard is there. Allotments. Is
Yeah,
the
the other bit of the skip hire. It's 4018.
Play area is always an interesting one.
4067, the inspection contract. Members may recall we had a period of time whilst we were between maintenance officers. So for that time, we did have to increase the number of inspections that HARGs were carrying out, which is why the 4067 is over.
Thank you. No questions on that one. Open spaces.
4013, there's a miscode there that it should be £25 and not £50, so
Is that from West Berkshire Council?
yeah.
It isn't, is it? Is it?
Yes.
It's actually, I looked at this earlier.
Right.
It's actually 2 years worth. So they used to invoice a year in advance and now they're invoicing, sorry, in arrears, and now they're invoicing in advance. So actually it's 2 years, so it's accurate, but they've chosen to invoice at a different spot in the year.
Okay.
So ongoing, the budget will remain the same, but we've had a double whammy.
Good to see that we're contributing £25 to the
That's the great, hopefully you'll spend it well.
budget.
All the difference.
It's just a friendly thing to do.
Technically, it's a prepayment on the balance sheet, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Whenever an accountant says technically, my ears tend to stop. And lastly, but by no means least, Steve Turnfield.
Just again, we've reported at previous meetings, 4039, this is maintenance of the Jubilee Sensory Garden, which has increased since the garden was renovated. And 4067, same as 4067 under play areas.
Okay, thank you. So overall, as can be seen, we are less, our deficit is less than budget. Indeed, before transfer to youth, we may well even be in small surplus. We do have some considerable headwinds. We have payment to make for a survey for St Mary's Churchyard wall that we know is coming, which may be sensible to do in this year's budget rather than in next year's budget, but I'll talk to the chair and RNA on that one. And some other ones as well, flooring at Birdwood and some other ones. So although we are below, and I think will be below what we had budgeted as a deficit, which is positive, it won't be quite as good as it's looking at the moment. But we will still be below and within budget, which would be highly commendable given those headwinds. If there's nothing on the expenditure year to date, We'll move on just to a quick look at the one in your pack of this printout is so small that I don't think even could read that with a magnifying glass or even a microphone. Microphone? So there is a large one there. Obviously various earmark reserves. We have got in the budgeted year-end reserve on the general fund, which is looking quite healthy. That will undoubtedly take a hit with various things from next year, and also things like the cemeteries, etc. Anything in particular to draw to our attention in that?
To the finance manager.
I'm not looking for a run through of anything, just anything that
There's no major changes there, no.
I think this is a printout which we see obviously every F and GP. Councillor McCann.
Yeah, just a quick question. I think the answer is going to be yes. The two total savings of 9,900 with the increased income and just expenditure on events, and the 7,500 that we've just run through, that's in these figures that's already baked in.
No, from here, in the reserves, no, the figures that we've gone through from the income and expenditure account
Right.
Are from our normal reserve pot. These reserves are our earmarked reserves, so they are completely separate pots of money.
Okay. So we've got the 17,400 is in our other pot.
Sorry, the 17,000.
Yeah, there was the 9,900
Yes,
pounds
yes.
and the 7.
That is what's reducing our deficit.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's no other questions on the reserves, we'll move on to Thatcham Town Cricket Club. I take a declaration of interest.
I will, yes. Currently chair of Thatcham Town Cricket Club, Councillor Cottingham.
And Madam Clerk, please.
Chairman, yes, the part of the lease between the town council and the cricket club, every 7 years there is a rent review. The rent review is due this month, but because of the proposed flood alleviation works, it's very, very likely that the lease will need to be renegotiated as part of that. So it would not seem sensible to proceed with a rent review at this stage, but to incorporate it into a potential lease negotiations. So recommend that we just defer that for the time being.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll take that as an. I wonder if Councillor Cottingham might bring us up to speed on sport things.
Oh.
How we can deal with that.
I've had another conversation, two more conversations with Sport England today. And what Sport England are saying is the fact that from a lease perspective, that the details of a break clause, etc., on the lines of anywhere between 15 to 20 year break clause, along with a 35-year lease, would be those sort of ballpark. So again, it'll just be a case of making sure we've done the negotiation with all the between both parties. That's about, yeah.
Right.
I think, as someone said, it's complicated with the change of land. It was, from Sports England's perspective, very surprising that the original lease had a 3-year break clause on it. Extremely surprising.
So there is, just to bring everyone up to speed, this is part of what we were looking at with the works that will be done on the field, and the compensation that I believe the cricket club have received for things like moving the nets and other items,
Can I
although,
just correct, we haven't
Please.
received anything yet.
sorry, you will,
It's,
in
there is
course
a
of negotiation.
Yeah, there is a proposal for the movement because of the swale going straight across the top end of the ground, and the loss of that facility. And part of the revised planning application is two items which are there as compensation, as loss of the 2-lane net, replacement 3-lane net, and also potentially a non-turf wicket on the spare, which from a owner's perspective, I would guess you would, Thatcham Town Council would want to approve as well. So we have a meeting on Wednesday with the trustees and also committee members plus senior members of the club to discuss the lease, to discuss the compensation, the 3-lane net, and also potentially putting a non-turf wicket onto the main square. And I will report back once that discussion has taken place, what the feeling is from the members of Thatcham Town Cricket Club.
We did think at one point, before it all got extremely complex, that we might be able to discuss tonight. What Sports England are looking for is a letter of intent from Thatcham Town Council. Well, I don't personally recommend doing letters of intent unless you're going to follow up on the intent. And they wanted an answer before full council to get in appropriate planning permissions. So at one point, I was looking with the clerk about putting shoehorning it into this agenda item today. Since then, it has got remarkably complex in that it won't be just an extension for a few years of an existing lease to take it to 50 years from when the lease started. But there's also other questions about break clauses and things. So it is not really for this committee to decide, especially as we haven't had the benefit of a briefing from the clerk and any legal advice. So what I'm perhaps suggesting is that as a committee, we ask the clerk to take this one forward, both to do a briefing for full council if appropriate, and if we can fit that in time, and obviously if the mayor agrees to have it on the agenda. But even that, I feel, might, by the time we've had Madam Clerk's advice and any, especially if she needs any legal advice, then that's going to take it beyond, well, certainly will take it beyond the deadline for Sports England. Unfortunate, but we only knew about 3 days ago that we needed it.
It's probably more the deadline for West Berkshire for the planning application. I think we've moved very quickly to identify the issues. And it's more, I would say, the process which West Berkshire planning application has to follow, which then has a knock-on impact on the clearance, especially for the bird season. That's the most pressing issue on all of this. If they can't get the clearance done in time, it means
is that for another year?
Another year, which then may have an impact on funding from the environmental agency. So that is unfortunately the ticking clock. I think.
Well, all we can do really is say, ask Madam Clerk to investigate the lease question and the break clauses and provide a briefing for council.
Yeah, just to familiarise me again, what is the income of that lease per year? How much do we charge on the lease?
About £4,000 around.
Okay, so we're not talking what?
No.
All right, I just wanted to. Okay.
But there are.
If you lost 25% of your ground and then we knocked it by 25%, job's done.
I think the amount is probably less relevant than the term and the break clauses.
Absolutely.
Especially as we're aware what is happening with Hemingway, etc.
Other things.
There's a lot of other considerations apart from the actual monetary.
And the scenario which was a little bit tongue in cheek over what's happened with other sporting clubs being kicked off and membership taking monies for housing, things like that. Not to say that that would ever happen here. But
Perish of thought.
But who knows from a different administration perspective what may happen, and it's really just protecting both parties. And if act at haste, repent at leisure, and that's the thing. If we jump into this without the appropriate legal consideration, it could potentially leave all of us exposed, because what's our future defence that we can't really be pushed into something which we don't believe protects both Thatcham Town Council but also our tenant.
Yeah, that will form part of what we'll ask the clerk to, if it's relevant.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeffrey, as opposed to talking about terms of lease or whatever.
Chairman, I think that Councillor Cunningham, in a separate message, made an extraordinarily valid point that you can never legislate to say that somebody can't do something in the future. However, you can do things like register a piece of ground or land as, I can't remember what the actual definition is, but there is a legal definition where you can say that it's a public asset to that area.
It's a
And I
community
think
asset.
that's something we should put on our agenda to do just that. Because if somebody came along one day and said, oh, well, this is a lovely piece of land and why haven't we got 350 houses on it? I think that would be an unmitigated disaster if that were to happen. And it would be so gut-bustingly unfortunate if we could have done something about it by doing some kind of registration. And I know that Councillor Lincoln has mentioned it before, that you can have a particular status of land or property that gives you some cover. So I'd like
We'll ask
that.
that to be incorporated. Basically my proposal on this one is that we ask the clerk to take this away, take appropriate legal advice. If we then need to get into negotiations with the cricket club and advice of Sports England, but that'll be down the track. I think for the clerk to look at this in detail would be very sensible before we bring it again to any meeting of this council.
My last point being is that that's going to take quite a bit of time. It's potentially the letter of intent which then satisfies Sport England that they protected their duty of care as well, because as we're well aware, there's been a raft of sports fields being sold off by schools, by local authorities and things like that, and that's once it's gone. You can't create land. Once it's gone for sporting.
I take the point, but you're not saying that we should issue a letter of intent now, are you?
Not until we're happy.
Yeah.
So I'm saying.
No, that's
until we're happy
Yeah.
to do so. So
When do we need to be happy by?
that's West Berkshire planning. Again, I can find out when do we need to be happy by.
That gives us our pressure points.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have to be happy ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's
We have a Eastern Area planning on the 7th of February.
Maybe that's probably your upgrade.
That's
might ask the clerk to treat that as a matter of priority then, please. So that's proposal, if that's fine, to second. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, if we could leave that in your tender. Mercies, please. I will now vacate the chair to Councillor McCann, and we'll be pleased to answer any questions. And then if there are none, I'll disappear. Thanks.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Okay, so a second application for the community project fund this evening, this time from CATS, the local amateur theatrical society, who are putting on a production of Fiddler on the Roof to run from the 15th to 17th of February. They are requesting £240 and the costs of that are to a professional props package. There's details of the number of people included and all that sort of thing within the application.
Yes.
Chair, I almost declared an interest at the beginning of the meeting because I have been a member of CATS on and off over a number of years. But as I'm not currently a member, maybe I can take the opportunity to sing the group's praises instead. The quality of the productions that they perform for our local community, I think, is outstanding, and what they manage to achieve on a shoestring is quite phenomenal. And really, they're asking for a very small amount of money to provide a props package, rather than rifling in the back of wardrobes to find substandard substitutes. And I really think that's excellent value. And as they are the town's amateur dramatic group and provide a great service to our community, I really do think we should support this application.
Thank you. Owen?
My question is through you, Chair, to the clerk, and that is this another one where we could put it through Good Exchange and get half from?
The application isn't on the Good Exchange at the moment. It is quite a process to get applications onto the Good Exchange. So at the moment it isn't, and therefore wouldn't receive match funding.
Understood.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is definitely a capital, shall we say, cost. It's not a revenue cost. On that basis, I would so propose that we
Thank you for
give the money.
Just to clarify, it is actually a revenue cost. It is hiring. Which actually includes Tevia's car, which we couldn't make ourselves in the month of Sundays.
Okay.
Well, the technicality, it is revenue for a capitalizer. So I would still propose it worded correctly by the town.
just.
Yeah, I was just gonna sort of bolt on to Mark's comments really in terms of singing the group's praise. I very nearly declared an interest myself because my youngest is actually starring in this production as a support role. I've had the privilege actually of sort of going backstage and seeing a lot of the rehearsals take place twice a week. For the best part of sort of 2.5 hours per rehearsal. So there's a huge amount of work that goes into this, as Mark said, for not a lot of budget to play with. So it's definitely a cause that I think we should be supporting.
Thank you. Could you just clarify, it's been indicated this a revenue cost. Will they be reapplying next year for this, the 240?
Quite possibly.
And we could turn around and say if we were friendly towards this one, then we wouldn't be unfriendly to future revenue costs, if you get what I'm trying to indicate.
Anybody, as long as the benefit is to the residents of
Exactly.
Thatcham, are able to apply as many times as they wish, and each application is considered on its own merits.
Absolutely perfect. It's been proposed. Do I have a seconder, please? Oh, 2 seconders. Absolutely fantastic. All those in favour, please. Thank you, and declare that item successful. Fantastic.
Just to say thank you very much, everybody. Tickets available at the reasonable sum of £12 each from the CATS website. Right, moving on rapidly before I get lynched. Draft budget 24-25, item 8A. I will be introducing this item obviously at full council when it is discussed. So this is more of a procedural thing in my view, to recommend the budget to full council. obviously the informal working party group of this committee had the opportunity to input and indeed changed a few items on the draft budget. Therefore, on the basis that you don't want to hear me talk twice, I will give a full rundown at council next Monday. Unless anyone else has any views, really make that proposal and seek a seconder. I have two seconders, unless you are raising a hand to speak. No, okay. Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Consider service charges. In the budget, we have 10% increase in service charges for cemetery and allotments. Despite the increase in income on the cemetery, we still subsidise the cemetery if you take staff costs into account. And we have 5% increase on the halls, largely to keep them competitive. Madam Clerk, can you help us with the sort of layout and exactly what we're deciding on, please?
Yes, so starting with the cemetery, the 10% figure is provided, and then as we do with all our fees and charges, we round them so that we're not dealing with odd pence. So the recommended fees for 24-25 are provided in blue for all the different elements. No significant changes to highlight. No, so it's just the blue figures to consider, Chairman, please.
Any comments before we go to vote?
So proposed, Chairman.
Seconded.
Okay. If there are no other comments, those in favour of the 10% increase? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you. And we now look at the halls, where, as I say, we're looking at 5%. Again, anything of note, Madam Clerk?
No, nothing to highlight, Chairman.
If there are any comments on the two halls, if not, I would propose from the chair the increase, if that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. Council chamber.
Extremely good value for money, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, it's extremely good value for money, seriously. So we're looking at again 5% increase on that one. If there are any comments on that, if not, I would propose that from the chair as well, if that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Moors Pavilion and Field again, Madam Clerk, anything note on the increase?
To highlight the very limited opportunities to hire the pavilion due to the restricted covenant. We don't get a lot of income from it. And in terms of this, the football, the pitch hire, although we've always had a cost for senior games, we don't actually hire out to senior teams, but that is something that's on the list for the new projects manager to look at, is maximising pitches. So.
Thank you. Any comments on that before we move to vote? No. Again, I propose 10% increase from the chair. If that finds a seconder, thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. And finally, the market and pitch fees for the market.
And there is a proposal on here to introduce a new charge. So £12 for our regulars. And a new charge of £15. So occasionally we will get somebody who comes once or twice. So recommended a two-tier charging system on the market going forward.
Seems to make sense to me.
Seems very reasonable, seconded.
Yeah,
I just, oh, sorry.
please do.
When do you stop being a new, become a regular?
7 years.
3 months, 10 days.
No, it's on.
That absolutely is something that we would have to work on. I would imagine it would be if they're willing to sign up to a block booking or they come for 6 continuous weeks or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Common sense.
Yeah.
Essentially, RNA.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay. So I would propose that from the chair with the caveat that go to RNA for exact definition of the casual charge definition. If that finds a seconder, thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. The third item on number 8 is I'll explain the time constraint that was under, which is why I took the action that I did.
Yes, the allotments run, the allotment charges run calendar year. They used to run financial year, but we would find that 1st of April is the renewal, and that's really when your plot needs to be well in hand for the new season. So at the advice of the site steward, we changed them to run calendar year. That then gives us 2 to 3 months to evict tenants, non-maintenance, get new ones in, and they still have the benefit of the whole season. My apologies, I omitted to put this on the F&GP agenda in time, so sorry about that. But it followed exactly the same process as the other fees and charges that we've considered this evening, and I discussed it with the chairman so that we could get the invoicing out in time. So it's really just to ratify the tenancy costs for the calendar year 2024.
That's different.
But Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy to say that if it is being proposed or proposes, but can we not use the word evict? So shall we say the people
Uprooted.
finish and leave?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just leave.
Bring prejudice.
Right, so I suppose I'm in the unenviable position of asking committee to ratify something that I've already done. So I will now duck under the desk, having proposed that the committee ratify something that I've already done, and hope that may find a seconder.
You find a seconder.
Thank you. Those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Excellent. Right, we now move on to the last set of items, which is financial backs payments. These are ones that have to be authorised by committee before being paid, with some exceptions that we'll come to in a second. So if we would like to flip down, well, page 1, which is actually page 3,332. If there are any questions to clerk or the financial officer on that, financial manager, sorry. If there are any questions on the first page 32.
What's a mushroom litter bin then?
It's a litter bin.
Shame if
Take-
I was thinking it was.
Could be if you've got a lot of mushrooms, you might want to recycle them.
Unfortunately, you can't get much in them because there's not much room inside them. Indeed, Tom, we can do, I can do similar. Page 33, moving on rapidly.
3.
Any questions on that one? No. Page 34. Oh, a lot of rats and mice.
You wouldn't believe it.
No, on page 34, page 35. On there. If none, I propose that we receive and approve the backs payments from the chair, if that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. And receive and note the pre-authorised payments on Soldo credit card, clerk's account, etc. Anything particular to bring our attention to, Madam Clerk?
No, Chairman.
If there are no questions, I propose we receive and note those. Again, if that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you want to talk to the third item?
Yes, because of the Christmas break, the RNA meeting was early in December, and the financial reports, particularly the back payments, were run on the 5th of December. Which means that this being the next meeting to approve payments, that was quite a large gap, and we would be over our 30-day payments and risk late payment charges. So just before the Christmas break, the finance officer produced an interim backs payment run, which I approved my authority and standing orders. So it's just again to get that ratified by committee.
Thank you for that. Councillor Crawford.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Public Works loans direct debit of 13k, which was made on the 18th of December. I must admit, I wasn't aware we had a loan with the Public Works Loan Board.
We do. We have three loans with the Public Loan Board for the purchase and renovation of the Priory.
Okay. And do we have the equivalent of MRP in our accounts?
Wonderful acronym. What does it mean?
Minimum revenue payment. So when you borrow money from,
We have a fixed payment, fixed interest, fixed repayment.
yeah,
25 years capital and interest.
agreed, but you have to make a provision within your accounts for the MRP, which is the minimum revenue payment as well. So maybe worth taking it offline.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially as I've got no idea what you're talking about, I will confess. So I think explaining to the finance manager what that is and the implications of would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So any questions on the approvals that the clerk has already made? If not, I would propose from the chair that we ratify that decision. If that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. Bank reconciliations report. Basically where we've got the money. Every meeting. Any questions on that one?
Which was my bank account.
Well, yes, indeed. So obviously earning more interest now than did, which is always very useful. If there are no questions on that, I would propose we receive and note if that finds a seconder. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. Aged creditor report, which is we owe money to, or where are we? I've lost it. I presume this is aged account balances, is it?
Yeah.
All right, fine. We do usually pride ourselves on paying money reasonably promptly, or as promptly as we can within the financial considerations that we have. Are there any questions on that report? It basically seems to be one item. Have I got the right report? PESC UK?
Yes,
Got
yeah, that's just an explanation.
Oh, right.
So yes, the report.
Oh, apologies over I turned over the page. Okay, so we're looking at report titled Purchase Ledger Age of Account Balances, page 1. So help us out, please, if you could on stage.
Stage bus is actually invoices for stages for next financial year's events.
All right.
So what they've done is they've sent an invoice for the complete amount and we've paid a 50% deposit. So that other amount will sit there probably all the way into next year before we pay it.
So we're not due to pay that one then. Excellent. WBC rates, I presume, are.
They take it by standing order.
Yep. Not due to pay that one. So the other one being Pest and gave the explanation, and that takes us up to 30 days. So from the looks of it, we are paying extremely promptly. We now move to the age debtor report. This obviously, for reasons of confidentiality, is not within the papers available to the general public. So please, if we are discussing any of these, can we merely give the account code on the left-hand side rather than mention any names? That would be unfair in a public meeting to that particular individual or group of individuals or companies. Are there any questions?
Well, it definitely isn't desperately important, but if we look at C196, where does all that come from? I suppose even if you answer me, say what it is, which doesn't greatly matter. But
I mean, it actually looks to be that the payments on account virtually cover the payments up to and over 60 days anyway on that particular.
Chairman,
Right.
if you look at the summary on the back of page 3, and actually C196 is on there, an explanation.
But the invoice has been raised for £14.40 because the VAT was on there. The customer was told just to pay the £12 and we need to go and credit the VAT to bring it all back to zero.
Are there any other questions? Actually, looking at the back page with the explanations is probably the easiest one.
it is.
So apologies, Madam Clerk, I didn't spot that. Any other questions on any of those?
No.
I don't think we need to note or approve any of those. So if there are no other questions on section 9 being the financials, if there are, speak now or hold your hush. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.